Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fantastic piece of source material that basically distills life and career advice into something that's, well, actually actionable. We're talking about John's 7 highly practical rules for navigating life and your career. You know, if you've ever felt like the path to hitting your goals is just completely cluttered with contradictory advice or these overly complex, impossible strategies, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down these 7 distinct rules to help you chart a way better course. Okay, let's dive into this. What does it actually take to succeed? I mean, the answers you usually get range from pure dumb luck to just relentless hard work, but John's rules, they propose a completely different framework. We're actually going to go on a bit of an inside-out journey together today. We'll start deep inside, looking at our internal mindsets and how we view our circumstances, and then we'll gradually work our way outward, ending with exactly how we project our energy out into the world. All right, Section 1, mastering your mindset, focusing on internal control. So, before we can change the world around us, or honestly, even influence the people we work with every day, we've got to establish that internal control. And that brings us to rule number 1. When you find yourself in a really difficult situation, one that you firmly believe you literally cannot control, you have to remember that there is always something you can do. Look, you might not be able to stop the storm, right? But you can always change your attitude about the situation so it doesn't just completely break your spirit. This is your absolute ultimate defense mechanism. When external control is totally stripped away, your internal response is the one single variable you still completely own. Moving right along to Section 2, expanding your options and the both-and mindsets. Now that we've kind of secured our internal defense, let's look at how we view opportunities, starting with rule number 2. I mean, think about it. How often are we faced with what looks like a strict either-or choice? We hear these restrictive phrases all the time, like, oh, it's not what you know, but who you know. But what actually happens when we replace that super restrictive either-or box with a both-and imagination? I love how brilliantly this illustrates things because suddenly it becomes, it's both what you know and who you know. By simply shifting your vocabulary and tweaking that mental framing, you open up entirely new avenues. You're probably going to find that adopting this both-and mentality is just incredibly liberating. Next up is Section 3, the power of politeness. So we're shifting our focus outward now, looking at our everyday interpersonal interactions. And rule number 3 is wonderfully simple, yet it's something people literally forget every single day. Smile, like a lot. Please and thank you go an incredibly long way. It costs absolutely nothing to be polite, $0, but the return on investment in both your professional and personal life, it's astronomical. A genuine smile and just having basic manners, they act as this social lubricant that makes every other part of your journey infinitely easier. And Rule 4 actually upgrades that basic politeness into something truly memorable. When you're asked to do something, try to avoid saying that default phrase we all use, no problem. Instead, try substituting it with, I'm happy to, or it's my pleasure. Actually, scratch that. I want to directly challenge you today. Test it out. Seriously. The very next time someone asks you for a favor, look them in the eye and use, it's my pleasure, and just watch their reaction. You will see firsthand how it makes the recipient of your efforts feel so much more special and genuinely valued. All right, on to Section 4, rethinking job satisfaction and finding true joy. I really want you to think about this one. Are you wasting time searching for a job you love? We are constantly spoon-fed this idea that we need to follow our passion, right? But this can actually be a massive trap, especially for those of you who maybe haven't been in the workforce for several years yet. You could very well be chasing a complete illusion. Which brings us nicely to rule number 5. Stop wasting time searching for a job that you love. Instead, search for something you can love in the job you already have right now. So the crucial point is this profound distinction between the love of doing something and what is actually being done. When the love of doing is completely independent of what is being done, you can love doing absolutely anything. You find the craft or maybe the routine or the service within your current role, and you anchor your satisfaction right there. It is a totally transformative way to view your entire career. Section 5 is all about defining and measuring problems. Now, loving your job obviously doesn't mean you won't face hurdles. The first half of Rule 6 leans on a really classic piece of wisdom. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. I highly advise taking the necessary time upfront to define your problems accurately. It's so common that we just rush to find solutions to symptoms, rather than looking for the actual root cause. A crystal clear, precise definition is literally half the battle won. And the second half of Rule 6 connects directly back to that definition. Once you have defined the problem, remember that you can only change what you can actually measure. You've got to figure out how you measure things. Actual, tangible change requires some sort of system of tracking. Think about it. If you can't measure your progress, you have absolutely no real way of knowing if your solutions are actually working. It's like flying blind. Finally, Section 6. Using your stadium voice to project confidence. So we have covered internal resilience, expansive thinking, interpersonal warmth, career satisfaction, and analytical problem solving. Which brings us to the climax here, rule number 7. Use your stadium voice. Seriously, when you have a great idea, when you've done the hard work to find the problem, when you have done all that internal work, do not whisper. Project your confidence. Share your amazing energy. You need to make absolutely sure you are heard all the way in the back row. But as the echo of that stadium voice kind of fades away, I want to bring it right back here, just to a quiet space between you and me. We've walked through John's 7 rules today, and we know that structure is really only useful if it's actually applied. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which of these 7 rules will you actually put into practice today? Seriously, don't try to tackle all of them at once. That's a recipe for burnout. Just pick one. Test it out. See how it changes your trajectory. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.